he's going to do is catch the ball.
All right, let's keep it rolling, guys. More football to get to. Hopes of a three-peat for the Chiefs were quickly squandered by the Eagles in the Super Bowl. For the first time all season, they looked outmatched on the football field, now in hopes of avenging their loss next year. So the Chiefs have been fairly quiet in free agency, except on the offensive line, where they have tried to revamp a unit that struggled. They tagged Trey Smith, and they traded away a couple guys.
Joe Thuney.
Joe Thuney, and then signed Jaylen Moore from San Francisco to be that cornerstone at left tackle. Okay, Nick, coming to you. Have the Chiefs let Patrick Mahomes down so far in free agency?
I mean, it sure feels like it. Like the one thing that they've been without for.
Wait, time out. Patrick Mahomes is the victim?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing here?
Molly, did you watch the Super Bowl?
Yes, he is.
I know
He sure looked
I
victimized
just
to
want
me.
to make sure. I just want to be clear. Because he was the villain.
He's the victim,
He's
yes.
the villain, and now he's the victim. Okay.
It changes quick.
Listen,
what does Stephen A. say? It's fluid.
I just report the news. I don't make
This
it.
ain't fluid.
I
He's the
ask
victim.
the question.
I interpreted you're asking me the question as like disbelief.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I watched the Super Bowl. That man looked like a victim to me. And
Hell
I
yes.
assumed that it was obvious, like the Bears, obvious what they had to address. O-line, the Bears went and did it. The Chiefs lost their best O-lineman. Their guard, who was also their best tackle, left. And the way that they answered it was by getting a backup tackle from the 49ers to be the best quarterback in the league, his blindside protection. Like, it does feel like they failed him. They've tried to fix this position through the draft in the past. They've tried to sign right tackles to make them left tackles. And now they're trying to sign a backup tackle to make him a starting tackle. I don't know how we argue that there was one big thing that they had to solve this year with their offensive line, and they haven't solved it yet. So, yeah, I think they failed.
I'm going to say no on this one. When you're building a dynasty, you're going to lose players. That's just the fact of the matter.
New England Patriots.
Exactly. And you can even say it about the Kansas City Chiefs. Tyreek Hill, they watched him walk out of the door. Orlando Brown was another guy. Last year, L'Jarius Sneed left, and we talked about the hole that left in the secondary. All season long, we talked about they need to find a replacement at cornerback, too. They never did, and this was still a team playing in the Super Bowl. So I think part of building this dynasty is you have to find ways, and Patrick Mahomes is at the absolute top of that. Travis Kelce's going to be a year older. But you look at some of the things they did. They brought back Trey Smith, their other guard, the younger guard, and paid him. Nick Bolton, the leader on the defensive side of the ball, they signed and they kept him. So for a team like Kansas City, when you're winning so much and you have so many good players, there's no way to keep everybody year in and year out.
All right.
So it's up to Mahomes at the quarterback position
Nope.
to keep this team afloat. Stephen A., please tell them exactly why I'm right.
You're wrong. And the reason why I say that you're wrong is because here's the reason why. First of all, you know, Patrick Mahomes, obviously, one of the primary things that the Chiefs have to address is your left tackle situation. Because you had 4 dudes playing that position this past season. And then you act like you've come to the rescue for Patrick Mahomes by going out and getting this cat Jaylen Moore, who's primarily been a backup. I don't know if that's the answer to the prayers at the left tackle spot. So that's number one. That's a big, big key thing to point to there. What I'm saying is this. When you look at Patrick Mahomes and whether or not they've let him down, the number one thing you have to do for the quarterback is to protect him. Number two, what you also have to do is you got to remember, you got to get a running game. And Pacheco can ball, and I got that. He got injured last year and what have you. But you see that, yeah, Kareem Hunt come in there and do some things. But in the end, when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, Tyreek Hill walking out that door, it's a big, big deal. You want me to tell you why? Because it was impossible to stack the deck at the line of scrimmage when Tyreek Hill was out there. Because you could throw that brother a screen pass and he could take it to the house. See, something like that, having a bona fide big-time threat like that also assists in taking the pressure off your quarterback, okay? It also keeps him healthy, too. Those are the kind of things that you have to look at. Now, obviously, they offered Tyreek Hill some money. Miami came to him with about $72 million. You know, depending on what reports you believe or whatever, it was like a $5 to $6 million a year gap, $6 million gap total, rather, that is. And maybe he should have stayed, and you could get on him about that, too. But if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you have to do everything you can to exhaust yourself to protect Patrick Mahomes. One could easily argue they did not do that. And then on top of it all in the Super Bowl, let's call it what it is. The Eagles didn't beat them. They beat their ass. They stomped them, okay? It was embarrassing. And I challenge anybody to show me one game in the career of head coach Andy Reid where his team seemed completely obliterated and totally ill-prepared to deal with the onslaught that came their way. There was no answer. None. They literally looked, I mean, it was bad. It was bad. I've never
They're-
seen an Andy Reid team look like that.
The major reason why I think that they let him down is you can cut corners, and I agree with you. As you're building a dynasty, you're going to have to let some guys go, and you're going to have to compensate in different ways, and they've done an amazing job of doing that so far. But there's one place where I feel like it's almost impossible to compensate for. And if we think about the Super Bowls that they've lost, it was because of that position. Because of the offensive line in general, not just the left tackle, but because of protection. So I don't know how you do this over and over again without having some real legitimate support for them. And I understand left tackles aren't cheap, but I'd be more prone to go cheap elsewhere. Like they were rumored to be in the conversation for Ronnie Stanley, who re-signed for the Ravens for less than I think he probably could have gotten. If I'm the Chiefs, you go in hard and go get a tackle like that, and that solidifies your offensive line and starts to put you in a direction where you can win, because I believe that if you protect Patrick Mahomes, ain't nobody you can't beat. Keep Patrick Mahomes upright.
One more thing.
For 2.5 to 3 seconds. Go ahead, Stephen A.
One more thing. This is the 4th time they've restructured Patrick Mahomes' deal, supposedly to get him help. One cannot argue with the fact that, remember, they came into this past Super Bowl as 2-time reigning Super Bowl champions on the verge of three-peating. We understand that. But one could easily argue it was because of Patrick Mahomes as opposed to in spite of him. Because around him, we've seen deficient parts coming into focus before our very eyes. That's what we can't ignore. Over the years, to restructure a dude's deal 4 different times, and to us continuously look at the Kansas City Chiefs and say to ourselves, they seem to be getting, if not incrementally, progressively worse. And we have to pay attention to that as well. What are you doing with this money and this cap space?
That's like the nature of the
create?
beast, you guys.
That is literally what you're
that is literally the definition of what
of a
happens.
dynasty. You have to.
Like,
you
what
have
are
to.
we
We
talking
watched
about
New
here?
England do it for 2 decades.
Yeah.
And you get some of the older veterans that want to
getting
win
soft.
to get to play with Patrick
Adam
Mahomes.
Schefter.
You have no
Stephen A.,
choice
who
but
are
to
you
do that.
today? You're getting so soft. Like you're
Adam
players have
Schefter-
less minutes. I mean, I don't even know who you are.
Well, I don't think it's soft. I think it's factual. I'm just stating the facts. And when you look at the Eagles, let's look at Howie Roseman. So you lose. What Adam Schefter was pointing out on a Pat McAfee show, I think yesterday or the day before, he was talking about the pieces that the Eagles have lost. But now, when most people have 7 picks on average in the first 4 rounds or so, the Eagles have 20 over the next 2 to 3 years. 20. And he's talking about how you're retooled and you're positioning yourself to sign young, talented players on rookie deals. Howie Roseman knows what the hell he's doing. He's the standard right now.
Okay.
Who's going to measure up?
I'm done with this. You done with it?
I'm done with it.
Yeah, we can't get
Am
him on.
I allowed to leave now, Mom?
I'm not answering that question. Ask our producer, Cassandra. Coming up, Luka's got to hold down the fort till the king returns. How much trouble will the Lakers be in if they don't secure home court advantage? They're playing tonight. Coming up, Dominique Foxworth getting a little work.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng. Và hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là du lịch. Mọi người, hôm nay tiêu đề